So I'm doing a little edge-to-edge quilting on a really little table topper, and lots of questions. I posted a little video, just a fun little post on the groups, and just tons of questions always come in. And I'm using my Monster Snap hoop. So I'm just gonna walk you through this a little bit. I'm hoping I've got enough battery and enough room left on my card to do this. Anyway, I'm going to go to my folders because, and here's my USB, and that's where my designs are. And I don't have very many designs on this. I should only have one or two though, so I've got too many on here. So do as I say and not as I do. So I'm ready to do B. A I just did, so I'm going to do B. And I am using my Monster Snap hoop, so the machine is always going to recognize it as the jumbo hoop. So it won't matter whether you're on a 770 or an 880, it's always going to recognize it as the jumbo hoop. So this particular design is too big. You can see the red outline around my hoop, and the reason that the hoop is straight right here is because I am on a 770, and a 770 can only use this much of the jumbo hoop. There's about 1.5 inches or 1.75 inches on the left side that I can't access because my harp size is too small. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a reduction on my design. So this little arrow that goes to the little square is going to let me reduce it. So here's a link. If I unlink it, I can reduce it 2 different ways and make it all together different. If I keep it linked, then both the width and the height will reduce tandemly, at the same time. So I hope you can see this. I think you can. Let's see. Got quite a bit of glare. So I'm going to reduce this, and you'll watch. This says 100%. Let me see if I can pull you in so you can see that. This says 100% right here. So I'm going to take it down just enough till the red disappears around my hoop. And that's 99%, but I'm going to be safe and take it down 1 more percent to 98%. So there we go. And now I'm going to send it to the machine. My arm came over, my embroidery arm. So now let me back you out. It's asking now for me to put my hoop on, so I'm going to show you how to do that. The snap hoop goes on the very same way that any other hoop goes on. It just goes right on the module, and you pinch the little, when you order a snap hoop, you'll order one for a Bernina. So, baby lock people will order a baby lock snap hoop, and Husqvarna people will order that snap hoop, and, Brother has their own snap hoop. So now you can see up here on my screen that it has accepted it. It thinks it's the jumbo hoop, and it's asking me to calibrate, so we'll do a little calibration, and now it's right in place. And the way I do my edge to edge is let me see here. I used to, and in some of my earlier videos, a lot of you will remember that I used to stitch out the template on very lightweight interfacing or stabilizer. And now I have Embrilliance. I've had it a while. Maybe 5 years I've had Embrilliance. And now that stabilizers have kind of gone up, you know, in cost, everything related to our sewing is pretty costly. So I quit using my interfacing and stabilizers to make my templates. Now I just print them out because Embrilliance will print them out at actual size. So here's my little quilt, and I have my template pinned in place. I have already quilted all of it, all the way down, except for this last side. So I will have 3 hoopings on this last side. And so I've got it hooped up here, and I had to use a leader here. I've pinned a leader on because my quilt was too small. So I put on a leader, and so I've already sent it to the machine now, and I'm not very far off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my control knobs over here. I don't know if I can make this work or not. But these 2 knobs on our machines, they're going to allow us to move your needle to where you want to start. So it's easier to do that than to take the magnetic top off the hoop and move the hoop, you know, 1/8 of an inch. So you would use your knobs. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to touch this icon here that's going to let us move around, move our needle around. And I need to come down toward me and over away from me just a little bit for the needle to hit right where I want it to hit. So I'm going to move it down. I'm going to let you see my needle. You can see I'm turning the knobs. The top one goes left to right, and the bottom knob goes top to bottom. So you can watch my needle. Let me see. Watch my needle. And it's going to bring it right in on top of this, on top of the line where I want to start. And I got to get over just a little bit. And let me see where I'm at here. I'm still off a little bit. So it has let me go as far as it will without turning my hoop red. So when your hoop goes red, you're out of bounds. So you are going to have to, if that happens, you will have to take your magnetic hoop off. And some embroiderers put it up and over the machine this way, and I just lay mine over. I just lay it over on the module arm. Let me move you out so you can see where I put it. I think you can see. It's just balanced on my embroidery module arm over here. So now I'm going to move my quilt. I didn't want to have to do that, but I guess it's one of those days. So I'm going to move my quilt up just a little bit. And because I had to, this is the way I'm going to do it, because I had to move the quilt and didn't get to go the easy route, I'm going to drop my needle into the paper right where I want my stitching to start. Now I know where I need to be, and I'm just going to straighten my little quilt, get everything up where it is supposed to be. And if you were going to do, I'm going to put this side of the hoop down first. There's a little cutout here that goes around your connection, your clamp that goes on your module. But you can see that if you were going to be doing a queen size quilt with this hoop, it would be a challenge. And trust me, they don't call them snap hoops for nothing. They will get your fingers, and it hurts pretty good. So I'm just going to straighten it out just a little bit here. So on each corner of the snap hoop over here, there's a little wing that sticks out that you can lift your hoop with and put it back down so that it doesn't get your fingers. So be sure and use these little wings. Don't, try to set the hoop down because it'll snap your fingers. I mean it. It'll get you. So, okay, so I'm at my starting point, and I need to tighten my quilt just a little bit. I'm liking this. It's looking pretty good. Okay, let me feel underneath. Yep, that feels pretty good. And it's good and tight. I mean, you could even do embroidery on a bath towel with this hoop. Okay, so now I'm going to raise my needle up, and I'm taking my template away because I don't need it anymore. So now I have a different dilemma. I'm on my leader over here, and over here's my quilt, and I only need this much of my quilt quilted. This is the edge underneath here is the edge of my quilt. So I don't want to stitch all over my leader. So once again, I'm going to use my knobs to the right of my screen, and I'm going to move my needle around, and I'm going to move it until I get to where it wants me to make sure my needle's all the way up, to where I'm going to be stitching on the quilt and not on my leader. So it's going to start here, and since I want to decide where it's going to stitch, there's a little stitch locator icon right here. It looks like kind of a little squiggly S. So we'll touch that, and here it says 0. Right here it says 0. And if I move the bottom knob, it'll jump it. If I move the top knob, it'll move it one stitch at a time. If I move it backwards, it'll back it up. If I move it forwards, it'll move it ahead. So I'm using my top knob, and I'm coming over to where I'm on top of my quilt. I'm just kind of following the design along, and if you're not confident enough with the jump function, you just go along like so until you get to where you're going to be stitching all the time on your quilt. And so this is almost half this design is going to be gone because it would have stitched over here on this side. So now I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread, because I never start with my bobbin thread down. Never ever. Not on a quilt. And I've never had any trouble with any kind of thread nests on the back. And something else that I'm doing today, you have to use your critical thinking. You have to think things through with these machines and with the projects that you're working on. I have 50 weight Aurifil thread in the top and in my bobbin, and they match. So if you want matching thread on the front and the back, you can definitely use Aurifil. This is 100% cotton thread, but I'm not using my yellow bobbin case. If I wanted to use a lighter weight thread, like 60 weight or more, I would put a 60 weight thread in my bobbin, and I would use my yellow bobbin case. You need more tension with a polyester or a rayon or a finer thread. And thread's kind of silly. The numbers go backwards. The higher the number, the lighter the thread. And you get up to 100 weight, and it's just about like angel hair. It's just a breath of thread. That's it. And you get down to 12 weight, and that's something that you would hand wind on your bobbin to do bobbin work. So, okay, let's see where we're at here. We're going to get going and see if we can see where we're headed here. Yep, we're going the right way. And it's headed for my pin. So I'm going to let it take 2 more stitches and stop, and then I'm going to go back up here, back up to my little squiggly icon here that lets me do my thread location. This is my little squiggly icon right here. Lets me do my thread location. Top knob, and I'm going to scoot it along 1 stitch at a time till I see that it's going to be stitching on my quilt and not on my leader. And it's kind of opening up some thread here, which when I get ready to bind my quilt, then I'll take care of that. Okay, so I'm back over on my quilt. So let's get it going. And anytime it looks like it's going to stitch off the quilt, I'll stop it just like that. Whoop. I'll stop it and touch my little squiggly icon, my thread, my stitch select, use my top knob and move it as soon as I get unhooked. I'm hooked. There we go. I think now I can move it. So now I'll work until I get back over, back on my quilt. It's stitching a leaf. So back over on my quilt. I'll even back it up a little bit. Get right to the edge. And away we go. And we'll do some more. And pretty soon it'll start stitching to where it'll be only on this side. It will have already done all that. I'm using a number 15 foot. For embroidery, I like the 26 foot, but for edge-to-edge quilting, I'd rather have the 15. It's got this little raised up lip on it so that it doesn't catch on the edge of the quilt. And so this has been kind of just a little lesson for you on how to use your snap hoop, and a little bit on how to work through some of your icons on your machine when you're doing edge-to-edge quilting.